You know that moment when your child comes home from school, dragging their backpack like it's carrying the weight of the world, eyes down, shoulders slumped, and you just know something happened. Maybe they weren't picked for a game, got left out of a group, or overheard some kids whispering about them. Your heart sinks too, because rejection stings, for them and secretly, for us. It's tempting to swoop in, plaster on a smile and say, "Don't worry, honey, you're fine." But here's the truth. It's never that simple. Peer rejection isn't just kids being kids. It cuts deep. Their little social worlds feel like life or death. And the pain? Well, science says it lights up the same parts of the brain that respond to physical pain. Ouch, right? So what do you do when your child comes home hurting? How do you console them without making it worse? How do you turn that sting of rejection into a lesson in resilience, confidence, and emotional strength? Today, we're diving into exactly that. The why, the how, and the real-life ways to sit with your child, validate them, and guide them toward bouncing back stronger. Grab a cup of tea, and let's talk about helping our children navigate one of the trickiest parts of growing up, feeling left out. You see it all the time. Kids walking through the school gates, backpacks bouncing, faces lit up, and then one little look, one casual, not invited, and their whole mood collapses like a deflated balloon. It's tempting to shrug and think, oh, it's just kids being kids. But trust me, it's far from trivial. From a child's perspective, peer rejection feels like a personal failure. And honestly, as a grandmother who's quietly observed this over decades, I can tell you, it hurts more than we sometimes realize. Psychologists have a fascinating term for this: social pain. Studies show that the same regions of the brain that light up when we stub a toe or burn a finger, like the anterior cingulate cortex, also fire when we feel rejected. In other words, being left out actually hurts physically for a child. That's why tears aren't just dramatics, they're the body's real response to emotional injury. Add to that the developmental fact that children and adolescents are wired for connection, belonging to a group, being accepted by peers, feeling seen. These are not optional extras, they are core needs. When that need is blocked or ignored, it triggers self-doubt, shame, and anxiety. And let's be honest, it can feel utterly devastating. I remember one little story. Call her Sophie. She had been thrilled to join a weekend soccer game with the neighborhood kids. She practiced all week, bouncing around with excitement. Then when the teams were chosen, she ended up on the sidelines, watching the other kids laugh and play without her. Her face went pale, her little hands clenched the straps of her bag, and suddenly it was as though the air had been sucked out of the park. Anyone watching could feel it, that sting of exclusion. The key point here is this: before we even think about solutions or consoling, we have to understand the weight of their experience. Peer rejection isn't just about who's in or out. It's about identity, self-worth, and the fear that they don't measure up. Our instinct might be to jump in with advice, distractions, or reassurances, but the first, most crucial step is simply acknowledging the pain, sitting with them, recognizing the hurt, and silently saying, "I see you, and this matters." Visualize this: a child curled up on the edge of a playground bench, watching their friends play, tiny shoulders trembling, trying not to cry. That is their reality. And as parents, grandparents, or caregivers, that's the moment we need to meet them with presence, empathy, and patience, not quick fixes. Understanding the sting is the foundation. Without it, any attempt at consolation risks missing the mark. And let's face it, if we dismiss their feelings or brush them aside, we teach them that their pain doesn't matter, the very opposite of what we want. Now that we understand just how sharp the sting of rejection can be, the next step is figuring out how to actually console our children without turning it into a full-blown parental overreaction. Believe me, I've seen it happen countless times. A child comes home upset, and before they even take off their backpack, a parent swoops in with a mixture of panic and pep talk. "Oh, sweetheart, don't worry. You're amazing. They're just silly kids." And while that sounds nice in theory, in practice, it often backfires. Why? Because children aren't looking for quick fixes or lectures. Right now, their world feels small, heavy, and painful. They need emotional first aid, the kind that meets them where they are, not where we wish they were. The first rule: listen. Really listen. Sit beside them. Keep your voice calm. Mirror their feelings. A simple, "I can see that really hurt you," goes 1,000 times further than "it's no big deal." Here's a story that sticks with me. A young boy, let's call him Liam, came home after a tough day at school. He barely spoke, his eyes rimmed red. His mother, years ago, might have rushed in with distractions or advice, but this time she simply sat on the sofa beside him, let him slump against her and said, "It looks like today really stung, didn't it?" Liam nodded, just a whisper, "Yeah." And that was it. No judgment, no immediate solution, just acknowledgement. Within minutes, he started talking. Slowly, haltingly, but he talked. And once he'd voiced the hurt, he began to breathe a little easier. Small gestures matter too. A hand on the shoulder, a gentle hug if welcome, or even sharing a quiet story of a personal disappointment can show empathy without minimizing their feelings. Humor can be sprinkled lightly. Think a tiny pun or wink that doesn't trivialize the pain, like, "Sometimes feelings sit heavy like a backpack full of rocks." Lucky for us, rocks are easier to carry with company. The key here is patience. Reassurance doesn't mean dismissing emotions. It means sitting in them alongside your child, offering safety and understanding. Resist the urge to lecture about why they're wrong or how to toughen up. That comes later. First, give your child permission to feel what they feel. Let the tears, frustration, or quiet sulking have a safe space. And remember, timing matters. Consoling in the heat of the moment is crucial, but a follow-up later, when emotions have settled, allows for reflection and gentle guidance. You want your child to know your feelings are valid, your pain is real, and I am here with you. In short, listen more than you talk, validate more than you advise, and comfort without rushing. Think of yourself as the emotional first responder, not the crisis manager. Because when your child knows they are seen and heard, the road to healing, and eventually resilience, becomes far less rocky. Once the initial sting has been acknowledged and your child feels heard, the next step is helping them make sense of what happened. This isn't about forcing them to just get over it. It's about gently guiding them to see that rejection, as painful as it feels, doesn't define their worth. Children often interpret exclusion as a personal attack. They didn't want me there, so I must be unlikable or not good enough. And let's be honest, we've all felt that too, even as adults. But as a parent or caregiver, your job is to help them separate circumstance from identity. This is where cognitive framing comes in, a psychological strategy that teaches them to look at the situation from different angles without invalidating their feelings. Let's take a practical example. Imagine a child named Mia who wasn't invited to a sleepover. She comes home devastated, convinced she's been rejected as a person. Instead of saying, "Don't be silly, they like you," you might say, "It looks like you weren't invited, and I know that hurts." Sometimes kids make choices for reasons that have nothing to do with how amazing you are. Maybe there were limited spots, or they wanted to mix things up. It's not about you being unworthy. You can also help them reframe the narrative by encouraging perspective taking. Ask questions like, "What do you think might have been going on with the other kids?" Or, "Have you ever left someone out without meaning to?" This subtly teaches empathy while showing that everyone makes mistakes or has limitations, even their friends. Another technique is storytelling or journaling. Encourage your child to write down what happened, how it made them feel, and what they might do differently next time. Visual cues like drawing or role-playing social scenarios can make this process engaging and less intimidating. It's not about fixing the pain immediately, but providing tools to process it. And don't underestimate the power of shared stories. Even a small anecdote from your own childhood, a time you felt left out, can normalize their feelings. Hearing that someone they trust went through the same thing and survived makes the hurt feel less isolating. You might say, "I remember being left out of a school play once. I thought I'd never be happy again. But looking back, it taught me who my true friends were and gave me confidence to try again." Cognitive framing is about planting seeds of resilience. It's showing your child that rejection is a temporary situation, not a permanent verdict on their character. Over time, with consistent guidance, they'll begin to see setbacks as part of life's social learning, rather than a reflection of personal failure. In short, this step transforms raw hurt into understanding, and understanding into emotional strength. By helping children make sense of rejection, you're teaching them a skill that will carry far beyond childhood: the ability to interpret social challenges without letting them crush self-esteem. Once your child has had the chance to process the sting of rejection, the next step is guiding them toward rebuilding confidence without turning it into a high-pressure mission. Because here's the thing: push too hard and suddenly the playground becomes a battlefield. Go too softly and they stay stuck in self-doubt. The balance: gentle encouragement paired with real opportunities for small, achievable social wins. Let's picture a scenario. There's a boy, call him Ethan, who was left out of a school project group. He's hesitant to join the next activity, convinced he'll face the same rejection. Rather than forcing him into a large social setting, his parent suggests starting small, a game with 1 or 2 classmates he feels comfortable with. He agrees, cautiously, but with guidance and reassurance. That tiny step, the first smile, the first shared laugh, becomes a foothold for rebuilding confidence. Modeling is crucial here. Children notice far more than we realize. When they see you approach social situations with calm confidence, navigate minor conflicts respectfully, or bounce back from small setbacks, they absorb lessons about resilience without even realizing it. Think of it like an invisible handbook they carry into their own interactions. It's also important to help children identify strengths and interests outside of peer validation. Maybe your child isn't part of the popular clique, but they're amazing at drawing, coding, or storytelling. Encouraging them to pursue these activities builds self-esteem independently of peer approval. And surprisingly, these pursuits often lead to new friendships with kids who genuinely appreciate them. Relationships grounded in shared interests, not fleeting popularity. Another tactic is guided reflection. After a social experience, ask open-ended questions. What went well? What made you feel included? Is there anything you'd do differently next time? This fosters self-awareness and problem-solving skills without making the child feel criticized. Small successes, repeated over time, build a foundation of social competence and confidence. A key point: don't treat every opportunity as a test. Kids can feel immense pressure if every social step is framed as a must-succeed scenario. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. Encourage them to participate, to try, and to notice their own growth, even if interactions are imperfect. That shift, from fear of failure to curiosity and engagement, is transformative. Finally, celebrate effort, not just outcomes. Acknowledging that your child showed courage, even in a small setting, reinforces the idea that their value isn't determined by whether everyone includes them. Over time, these small, consistent actions teach children that they can navigate social situations, recover from setbacks, and develop friendships based on mutual respect and understanding. By now, your child has felt the sting, been heard, processed the emotions, and even taken small steps to re-engage socially. But the real gift of parental guidance in the face of peer rejection isn't just comfort in the moment, it's long-term emotional resilience. This is what stays with them long after the playground, the classroom, or the schoolyard drama. Rejection, when handled well, can teach empathy, patience, and self-awareness. I've seen children who were once devastated by exclusion grow into quiet, confident individuals who understand their own worth and the importance of treating others with respect. These kids learn early that social setbacks don't erase value. They're simply part of navigating relationships, life's natural curveballs. Take the story of Ava, for instance. She had a tough year where friends repeatedly left her out of group activities. At first, she shut down, her confidence shaken. But over time, with steady guidance, listening, validating, framing the situations, and supporting small social successes, Ava learned to assert herself gently, choose friends wisely, and even comfort peers going through similar experiences. By adolescence, she had developed a strong sense of self, empathy, and social intelligence, all because rejection was met with understanding and support, not judgment. There's science behind this too. Attachment theory shows that children who feel securely supported by caregivers develop better emotional regulation and coping strategies. Social pain is inevitable, but consistent parental support acts like a buffer. They internalize a crucial message: I am worthy, even when others don't see it. Another long-term lesson is perspective. Children who experience and process rejection learn that not everyone will accept them. And that's okay. They start to recognize toxic patterns, choose friendships wisely, and understand that one no doesn't define them. This knowledge fosters independence and emotional strength, which carries into adult relationships and professional life. Encouraging self-reflection is also key. Children who are guided to ask, "What did I learn from this?" or "How can I handle this better next time?" develop problem-solving skills and emotional literacy. They start seeing rejection not as an endpoint, but as information, a guide for navigating the complex world of relationships. Ultimately, our goal as parents isn't to shield children from every social sting, that's impossible, but to equip them to handle it with confidence, empathy, and resilience. Peer rejection will happen, yes, but when met with thoughtful guidance, it becomes less of a wound and more of a stepping stone. Our children learn they can experience discomfort, survive it, and emerge stronger, wiser, and more socially attuned. So, to wrap it all up, when your child faces peer rejection, start by acknowledging the pain and listening without judgment. Validate their emotions, help them make sense of the situation, and gently guide them towards small social wins, all without pressure. Over time, these moments build resilience, empathy, and self-confidence that lasts far beyond childhood. I'd love to hear from you. How have you supported your children through rejection? Share your experiences in the comments. I often respond personally and love reading your stories. If you found these strategies helpful, don't forget to like this video, share it with other parents who might need it, and subscribe for more practical, real-life parenting advice delivered with honesty, warmth, and a little humor. Remember, your guidance today shapes the resilient adults of tomorrow.